Thanks for staying with us. So recently, a famous Nollywood actress had come online talking about the fact that she had lupus. She was speaking to a presenter, Chudi Jidonwa, at the time. She had said that the doctors had told her she only had 5 years to live. And that spurred up quite a bit of curiosity about this condition called, this disease called lupus. Joining us to discuss lupus is a lupus survivor, Fauzat Sanusi. She is a director, Lurek Support Foundation. Joining us later on the conversation will be a rheumatologist, Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Dr. Hakeem Olaosebikan. We'll try to get him a bit later, but we still have Fauzat here with us. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you, madam.
So when we heard about lupus from Kemi Afolabi, when she declared to the world that she had that disease and that the doctor said she only had 5 years to live, everybody was shocked and said, what is this? What is this about? How did you come about it? Is it preventable? Can it be cured? Why would they give her a death sentence saying that she's done? But you're a survivor, and that interested us to bring you on the show to talk about this condition. Tell us what lupus is and how you're able to survive.
Yeah, lupus is an autoimmune disease. And it's a disease that when you have it, you don't know you have it.
Okay.
Oh. And when you have it, you might have a series of journey being wrongly diagnosed over the years. My lupus journey is 14 years this year, and it started in 2008. So it's been like, it comes almost immediately after my first delivery.
Okay.
So lupus is a disease that it presents this way. It's a condition whereby your body wants to protect your system.
Immune system, yeah.
But when it's done protecting, it keeps working and fighting your organs. So it's like the body fighting itself, its organs, its own self. When I started my lupus journey, the first thing I noticed was I had like a slight loss of hair. You know, the
loss of hearing?
Loss of hair,
hair.
Just a little portion. And I talked to my husband, like, come, something is happening here. And I met my mom and elderly that my hair is going off. And they were like, oh, do you believe one parent for money? First delivery, second delivery. I said, will I keep doing this at every delivery? Then fatigue and some other things. So I kept on taking medical advices. So then it came to a time I started seeing like some body lumps. So then I talked to my doctor that, so this is a lump in my body, what would it be doing there? He was like, oh, is it paining you? I said, no. Are you having any feeling? I said, no. But it can't stay like this forever. So I should just keep monitoring it. So the journey is so rough. Lupus presents and everything. It doesn't have a boundary.
Wow. Yeah, so how long did it take you to be diagnosed that it's lupus that's the problem?
It took me 10 years.
What?
10 years of
dealing with different things?
Yes. Whoa. From the skin to the lungs, different
So how did it get diagnosed? Did you go to the hospital? What exactly? Who then determined that it was
lupus? Yeah, actually, when I couldn't understand it anymore, I kept seeing doctors. So it's so expensive to maintain. Every doctor you meet will give you a series of tests, right? You do this, nothing is wrong with you. You do this, nothing is wrong with you. I said, oh. So what do I do? I first of all took the step of having an insurance. So it could be...
Yes, helping to reduce costs.
So I used one of the very good hospitals. So they kept doing things. Then I could remember I had chest pain, cough, I had fluid in my lungs. So I went to IDH, and they were like, you have tuberculosis. So I did all sorts of tuberculosis tests negative. I was like, all your tests are negative. And like, I should go and do a CT scan. So I did that, and they were like, there's something called miliary tuberculosis. I've never had that before. So that was at the insurance level at Lagoon Hospital then. And it got so good I met Lagoon Hospital then. So they were like a lifesaver then. They kept on the treatment for about 1.5 years. Then I felt I was doing the right thing. Until later, it presented in another organ.
You kept moving from organ to organ
to another. So lupus will leave the lungs, then it moved to my heart. I started having breath seizure. I can't talk for a long time. So I was like...
So when you say you're a survivor, you have a question?
Yeah, because this issue became more popular because of Kemi Afolabi saying, okay, there's a time. Is it a terminal thing, or and is it curable?
Yeah, it became popular when Kemi actually spoke. But we've been on it like nobody is hearing us. Because immediately I came out of CCU, that is critical care unit. When I came out in, I think precisely October, I actually was like, why wouldn't someone have told me about this? When it came, it was something we call the flare period. It came really bad. I thought I would die. So I already signed out many things, like I've written my will.
Wow.
I told my husband, just go on with life and let me know how my kids...
What happens in the flare period?
Flare period comes in different ways. So let me just answer your question. Lupus, for now, we are told is not curable. You only need to manage it through medications and diets.
Okay.
But the thing is, it needs more of love. Lupus is not terminal, but it is depressive. So when something is depressive, I think it kills more than terminal. Because I was with a 16-year-old lupus patient day before yesterday.
16-year-old lupus patient.
Lupus patient.
Wow.
And she didn't smile for a long time. So every lupus patient will present and have different therapy. Because you couldn't actually, it's like we avoid stigmatization.
Right.
Like people will be like, oh, what is
Why would they
lupus?
stigmatize? There's nothing in your body is showing that you have lupus, though.
Because mine is hidden.
Okay, some people
Because of the malarash. Some people, you have the butterfly rash that comes up. And probably mine, because I'm a dark tone person, I can walk in the sun. But some lupus patients dare not step out in the sun.
Wow. Let me go on a quick break. We'll come back. Hopefully we get the doctor's connection on so we can speak to him also. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing this disease called lupus, and we'll be talking to a survivor so far. We'll have our doctor, Dr. Hakeem Olaosebikan from the Lagos State University and Hospital to join us. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
Good to have you on the show.
Yes.
So before you came in,
glad.
we had Fauzat here talking to us about the lupus being an autoimmune disease, saying that it actually is like the immune system is fighting itself. Give us a more clearer definition of lupus and how it can be diagnosed on time and then treated.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for providing this platform for lupus advocacy. Now, lupus is one of many autoimmune diseases. When we say autoimmune disease, what we mean is that our immune system, is fighting us. Now, our immune system primarily supposed to protect us against diseases, against germs, against infection. For the reason we don't know yet, the immune system turns against us and starts to attack that person it's supposed to protect primarily. And when this attack happens, the body also tries to resist this attack. And this can lead to what we call rough fight, leading to inflammation and then disease. So the symptoms of lupus depends on the organs that are affected. If it is the skin that is being attacked, patient will have a lot of skin issues. If it is the joints, patient will have joint issues. If it is the kidney, they have kidney issues. So virtually no part of the body that can be spared with lupus when it comes to attack of the body. So there are about 80 autoimmune diseases, but lupus is one of them. And then it's just like diabetes, a particular type of diabetes is an autoimmune disease. So asthma is an autoimmune disease. So when our immune system is exaggerated, is overactive, and it now turns against us to attack us. So any disease that emanates from our immune system attacking us, we call it autoimmune disease.
So, doctor, let me ask.
Lupus, how do we diagnose?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Please go ahead.
No, yes, I wanted to ask about diagnosis. And
yes.
Okay.
Lupus is, we call it a great masquerader because the symptoms of lupus mimics, some of the common medical conditions we have in our environment. For example, lupus symptoms mimic malaria typhoid symptoms. It can mimic infection symptoms. It can mimic cancer symptoms. So that is why most of the patients actually they are diagnosed late, because if you are not a rheumatologist or you have expertise in the diagnosis of such condition, you are likely going to miss the diagnosis. So the most important, we need to what we tell our colleague doctors is that when you have unexplained malaria typhoid symptoms, and you have investigated for malaria turned out negative, investigated for typhoid turned out negative, you may suspect an autoimmune disease called lupus. Or when you have patient has unexplained, recurrent painful sores in the mouth, or painful sores in the nose, or painful sores in the throat, or recurrent hair loss that cannot be explained, by common diseases in our environment, you may suspect lupus. Or you have unexplained joint pain, swollen joint that is worse in the morning, usually on the small joint of the fingers, and then the cause cannot be explained. It might be due to lupus. So unexplained kidney disease, brain disease, it is a multi-systemic disease that is virtually, it can affect any organ in the body.
Right.
So what we tell our colleagues is that once you have unexplained medical presentations that cannot be explained after investigation, you may suspect an autoimmune disease, and one of them is lupus.
All right.
Okay, so sadly, that would make lupus a very expensive disease to manage. And our guest mentioned how diets can be helpful. But I want to understand, can diet spur on lupus? Like, is there anything that we are doing as human beings that can make lupus become? And is there something we can eat that would make lupus unlikely to happen?
Okay, thank you so much. Now, let's talk about how do we develop lupus. There are two factors involved in the development of lupus before I answer that question, because they are related. There is what is called genetic factor. That is, we inherited some proteins, antibody-causing protein from our parents, and also the environmental factors. So the food or diet is in the environmental factor aspect. Now, you need interaction of the genetic factors that we have no power over and the environmental factor for somebody to develop lupus. Even if I'm exposed to all the environmental factors, if I don't have the genetic susceptibility to developing lupus, then lupus will not develop. Now, so it is not the fault of our patient that they acquire this lupus-causing gene from their parents. Because even the parents themselves may have the gene, but the gene may be silent in them if they don't have appropriate environmental factors to induce that gene to stimulate an immune system to overact. So when we are talking about treatment, now that means that we have a combination of different modalities: the drug, the diet, and the lifestyle. So diet alone cannot cure lupus, neither can it prevent lupus. So what we tell patients is that you need to ensure that you avoid, because inflammatory food, have been identified as one of the triggers of lupus. Okay. When you eat too much calories, too much calories, too much chocolates, too much sugar, too much salt, all the food rich in all this.
Dr. Hakeem, let me pause you for a second. I want to throw a few more questions in for you. Go ahead, YK.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, this disease, is there, this actress, Kemi, was given 5 years to live. Is that a right diagnosis? Could she live more than that? Is there a time limit you can put on a person's life?
Thank you, ma'am. Now, lupus is not a cancer. And when we diagnose lupus, we don't actually attach life expectancy to the diagnosis. Because lupus symptoms vary from patient to patient. Some patients with lupus, they have mild symptoms. Some have moderate symptoms. Some have severe, and some have life-threatening symptoms. Now, it's unethical to talk about patients, but I will just say that maybe the person you're talking about, misquoted our doctor. But I don't think any rheumatologist that is well-trained will tell somebody that in lupus, you have a life expectancy to live. What we can only tell you is that this disease is a chronic disease. That is a disease that you may need to live for you're going to live with it for life. Just like diabetes, hypertension, asthma, people have this disease and they live with it for the rest of their life. As long as they are taking their medications, they are avoiding triggers, and they will live a normal life with good quality of life.
Thank you very much, Dr.
So lupus is not a death sentence.
Let me come to our guests in the studio, because as we wrap up on this, for 14 years now you've lived with lupus. How has it been? cost-wise, family-wise? How have you been managing this whole experience?
Yeah, cost-wise, it's been very expensive. A minimum, I think an average lupus patient, we spend like 150,000 a month on medication and food if she's actually taken averagely. But if you have to go on the diets, organic feeding, and the medication, the right medications, probably taking the branded drugs, we go like 300, 400. Wow. Then maintaining some tests, it's a monthly test. So it's relative where you're doing it. If it is some eye labs that, you have to pay more. And at times we take our test.
So you have to do monthly tests to check to know what and what.
Monthly routine.
And this is going to be for life?
Tentatively for now.
Well, tentatively, but it can be cured, right?
We are hoping that's true.
So, doctor, I'd like you to answer that because we have to wrap up on this. She's been going through medications. Can it be completely and totally cured?
Well, I'm afraid lupus is not curable. But patients with lupus can live normal life, can live, we have lupus patients that have been living with lupus for the last 25 years. We have those that have been living with it just in the category of hypertension, diabetes. Once patients take their medication, they attend their regular clinic appointments, they run their routine tests, and they avoid all the triggers of lupus flares. Lupus flares are the crises that lupus patients do have. But if they continue to take their drug regularly, they don't miss their appointments, and they are monitored regularly, the incidence of flare will be very low. So it is not curable, but it's something that people can live with. We have a lot of celebrities even outside Nigeria that live with lupus for decades, and they've been living, quite with it.
Can I just quickly ask? Did you get pain?
Give me an example of a flare experience.
A flare experience, it's a daily thing. You must have a daily thing. The flare comes depending on how you run your day. The thing is you avoid stress. But another thing is that you don't sit in lupus. It takes everything away. So I tell people, you don't sit in your pains. You keep doing your passion. I manage mine with my passion. Which is, I have a skill. I do choreographies with my kids. I read minutes to songs that have content all the world. And so many other things like that. I pray unto God every day. Hope is the first thing. When you have handed everything over to God, then other things, just wake up in positive attitude. That's how you can manage lupus. But once you rest too much, you sit on it too much, the body becomes so heavy. You don't really have. So you have to get up to still live your normal life.
Thank you very much. We have to wrap up now. Thank you. It was a pleasure having you on the show. That's Fauzat Sanusi. She's a survivor and also managing lupus. And we're speaking to Dr. Hakeem Olaosebikan, who actually is a medical doctor at the LASUTH and also a rheumatologist. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning.
Can I just add?
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
May 10th is the World Lupus Day.
May 10th?
Yes.
Oh, fantastic. May 10th is World
all
Lupus.
over the world.
How come we never heard about it until Kemi Afolabi mentioned it? We never talked about it. So I'm so happy that she used her voice to give lupus a platform so that we can talk more about it.
So Lagos State government, we're having a program with LASHMA.
Okay.
We are hopefully the lupus patient needs more people to come on board to give them insurance facilities. And then we also need to be, we can't stand for long. We can't sit for long. BRT queues, driving on the general lane at times.
So give a special attention.
We need a card, we need a tag to move around with. At times I need to park the car when there is unrest.
Are you serious?
At times the flares just, like last week, I couldn't go out for a week. Just had to be indoor because I couldn't lift my legs. So at times it's terrible and it's a lone ward. So we need people to show love.
Support.
We need support from NGOs, from the government. They really need to come to our aid.
So maybe May 10th, we'll see what we can do to also support you. Maybe by bring up the issue again and talk about it and put more awareness on lupus.
Thank you for coming to
Thank
talk
you very
about
much
it.
for sharing your
Thank you.
story.